So I've been using this website for quite a while. It's called Multiplayer Piano. And to most people it's probably not interesting, and to some people it might actually be quite annoying. And the original goal of this website was to just let people click a piano with their mouse and keyboard. And everyone else on the website can hear it. And it was made in 2012 by this guy named Brandon. It was really just a toy for people to mess with. And over time, functions were added to the site, like the ability to play with a real MIDI keyboard and create separate channels so that you can play with other people. And when you join the site, you would get this random color, and you'd get the name Anonymous. And there's also a chat box for people to communicate with, so that you can tell people to stop playing Undertale music on the piano. The site got a lot of people over the past 10 years. A lot of other people came in from other communities, and they've just accumulated on this site. And so you've got some people from the Black MIDI community, which like to play impossible piano music. Then you've got a lot of programmers, people who like to make bots that can play piano. And then there's these people also make other bots, which are more like Discord bots, like you can do activities and stuff, and then some of them have like Magic 8-Ball commands, and some of them do channel moderation. And in fact, I actually learned how to program because of this website. And then there's the other side of the community, who don't really enjoy bots, and they have their reasons. For instance, you wouldn't really want a bot coming into your channel and just playing the entirety of the Minecraft soundtrack into your room. And somehow, the fact that the chat became more popular than the piano invited a lot of people who like to play pretend and roleplay, usually as like animals or video game and anime characters. I don't hold anything against these users, but they're usually quite young and it's not really my style. There's a subculture of those users who like to just pick names like Windows 10/male/19/wolf, and that's where the age curve starts to make things a little strange. Sadly, in October 2020, Brandon decided he wasn't able to keep supporting the site as much as he had hoped to, and he sold it for a chunk of cash. From what I was told, he didn't actually mean to sell the site at first, but he went through with it anyway because he hadn't really been active with the community for at least a year, and the last major update he made to the site was to add HTTPS protocol. He sold the site to this person who previously went by Jacob Red, and this new owner made some really controversial changes to the site. There wasn't much that happened until the end of that year, when the site completely vanished off the face of the planet. And within a week or two after that, the new owner got the site back up and running, but it had some really bad issues like HTTP headers behaving incorrectly. And this was because the new owner changed the way they hosted the website. Not only did it allow people to break the site in really bad ways, it cost them a major amount of money to host because they decided to switch the hosting service from Linode to AWS. In fact, one of my friends found a caching problem with the website's files, and he ended up writing a few lines of JavaScript to constantly download the same file over and over, and he did this hoping the new owner would realize it and fix it. And sadly, the new owner was smoking crack and decided to shut the site down as it was known indefinitely. Before all that happened though, years ago, people decided to make their own copy of the website. This wasn't done as malicious intent or anything, it was just that they wanted a place to test their bots and play with the system a little more in depth and host their own little version of it. Brandon was perfectly okay with these sites existing, and they never really caused any competition or anything. As a matter of fact, I made my own clone of the site, which I still poke around with to this day. Well, in mid-2020, some new person came in, called AEIOU, and they joined the site as a role player. And they hopped into the programming business after a little while, and they made their own clone, and this one was called MPP Clone. And at the time, this clone ran efficiently, and it was the first time in a while that a new copy of the site was made. Now, if you can imagine, if there's a lot of really smart programmers and a lot of role-playing young adults on the site together, this doesn't sound like it'll mix well. And in fact, a lot of people in their role-playing channels would get discriminated frequently. So AEIOU decided to have them move to MPP Clone, and he made them their own channel in there, where there were less people bothering them, and they had control over the channel, and they could chat in peace on their own. And MPP Clone started gaining popularity, and it became this sort of MPP server with dark theme for role players. Up comes the impending site-wide shutdown disaster mentioned earlier, because of the guy who was smoking crack. And now a lot of people switched to MPP Clone for the time being. After the site was indefinitely shut down, the new owner ended up mirroring MPP Clone And just as a side note, by this time, AEIOU had changed his name to Lapis. And over some time, the new owner made some extremely questionable decisions, like putting ads on the main site, and trying to overrun the site with a crappy blog. And from what I can tell, the owner also ended up hiring a team for this blog, and I tried to get a hold of them just to see who they were, but I asked some pretty simple questions and they didn't know what I was talking about. Well, that's how Multiplayer Piano became MPP Clone. For the people who are insiders of the community, I noticed there hasn't really been a deep discussion about this, and a lot of info is usually poor and uninformed. I experienced a lot of this stuff up front with the Discord server personally, and I conversed a lot with the new owner over a lot of topics, which all ended up in poor taste on their part. Fast forward a few years, and there's a few things to keep the infrastructure up to date, like account tokens similar to Discord, and we can create bots with those tokens, so we don't have to host with another IP address, which a lot of hobbyist people don't have access to. And ultimately, I think the legacy of this site holds up well for anyone who's interested in deep web corners, but it's caused a great unhealthy blob of my mental state, but given me a great career choice helping me head into the computer science industry.